Hey guys, Fred and Sheila McCoy, Hatfield McCoy Museum, fredmccoy.com. Sheila's behind the camera.
Hi guys, hope you're having a great evening.
Going to slow our roll a little bit.
Yep.
This video here will probably follow the video from yesterday, whenever it's produced. She's about 20 or 30 videos behind.
Yeah, but I'll go ahead and place this one next.
Which is good. Like I said, we make these videos in case one of us passes away or something, and at least the history's there. We've spoke it, and there it is. If somebody ever wants to use it, they can. If they don't, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm gonna slow my roll a little bit. I got real agitated earlier on finishing up on the other one. It's funny how a video that doesn't mean squat to you when it first comes out, or a topic, and can cause so much confusion or aggravation when you start doing it and you see, and I did get aggravated. We're still on the York House.
Okay.
The York House. And they've connected the York House with the Hatfield McCoy feud for funding and publicity, no doubt, where they can advertise it as another feud site. And the last part of the video we done was where I was talking about, I went to get a screenshot of where the people had sent us the story to see where it had came from, and I found several places where it came from. One of them was Pikeville History Moments, and Pikeville History Moments says that on the back of their video, they've got a video that they've done on it, and there's what it says, but at the back of their page it says Pikeville History Moments is a joint effort between Pikeville City Tourism and the Big Sandy Area Heritage Museum. So I guess it's all of them together, plus there's another one where it's Pike County Tourism, and I think another gentleman had done a story on it, Reed Potter, which I like Reed Potter, and I think he tries to do a good job over the years on his feud coverage, unlike some of the rest. I think he's tried anyway, and I think everybody's got bosses and you have to go with what you're told to do sometimes. So yeah. I think, don't matter what I think, let's go with what we can prove. The last part of that video, on this gentleman's video here, he talks about, he comes up with a newspaper article and he says the feud ended around 1891. And there's the article that he shows. Now, if you can read that, good luck to you, because it's all blurry and you can't read none of it. But what it basically says over here on the headline is the end of the Hatfield and McCoy feud. Peace declared by Devil Anse, the fearless leader of the Hatfields. Now that's what it says.
Yeah.
Nowhere on there does it say agreed to by Randall McCoy at the York House, in the parlor, in a law office, in the courthouse, anywhere else in Pikeville or anywhere in Kentucky. Nowhere else does it say Randall McCoy, one of the participants of the Hatfield McCoy feud. I think some people's outside watching us do the video. Let me pause it there a minute. Of the feud, also agreed to the peace treaty. Nowhere does it say that. Never has said that. Never will say that. You'll never see that in a court document, in anything with any proof or believability to it. It's just not there. Now let's go over this article. You can see down here on the screen where it says around 1891. Well, now if you'll remember, Cotton Top was hung in February of 1890. And I just Googled, some of this stuff you can do on your own, people, if you would. I just Googled Devil Anse declares peace and so forth like that. And Cincinnati Enquirer, Sunday, March the 22nd, 1891. There's the entire newspaper. There's the little story here to the circle there. And here's what it says. Peace between the Hatfield McCoy factions. And let's just go over what it says here. peace between the Hatfield-McCoy factions. The feud is ended, and Captain Hatfield proclaims general amnesty. Captain Hatfield, well, we all know believes in history and fact. Devil Anse was not a captain; he was a private in the Civil War. But Captain Hatfield declares peace. Now, this gentleman over here in this thing he's showing you, he says 1891, around 1891. It's all blurred. You can't see it. You can't read it. You can just see the headline. But it says Devil Anse declares peace. Over here, it says Captain Hatfield declares peace. And it gives the date of March the 22nd, 1891. And it says that this is the story that was also ran in the other newspaper when Cap Hatfield asked the Wheeling, West Virginia newspaper for some room to write an article. And if you'll remember, it's a letter to the editor from Cap Hatfield. I asked space in your valuable paper for these few lines. A general amnesty has been declared in the famous Hatfield-McCoy feud, and I wish to say something of the old and the new. I do not wish to keep the old feud alive, and I suppose everybody like myself is tired of the names Hatfields and McCoys and the border wars. I'm not going to read this entire letter, but this letter here of Cap Hatfield's is where that story there came from, that they put in these videos on YouTube, and says that peace was declared, and it was declared at the York House in the parlor and so forth like that. Guys, it's nothing but magicians. It's nothing but magic. And you know, it's fun. Sheila and I wouldn't do it if we didn't enjoy it. It does get our blood pressure up. It does get aggravating, because if as many people worked at telling the truth of the feud and correcting history instead of making up stories to see how far they can get, and these guys are so much better speakers than I am, so much more presentable, probably so much more intelligent. I don't care how intelligent you are or how good a speaker you are, a lie and misrepresentation is a lie and misrepresentation. Why you would want to go down in history as telling a lie and a fib and making videos that's fabricated and untrue, or telling stories, or showing newspapers that it shows in one like that, and there's the same newspaper article in the Cincinnati Enquirer where you can actually read the story, and the story's from Cap Hatfield. She can take pictures of these in a minute and put them at the back. We won't do like other people and just show something that's not readable. How are you supposed to read what's there? Now, that video camera, Sheila she's taking a video right now. And that video that I just watched in there on YouTube could have been clear. They could have taken a still picture of that, and they could have put the entire article so you could have read it, or I could have read it. It could have been as clear as what Cincinnati did. Cincinnati they showed you where it's at in the newspaper, and then they showed you a close-up of it. There it is on the front page. And then there was a close-up where you can actually read the story. This gentleman here, good speaker, good talker, full of crap. The nonsense that he's talking, where they signed a peace treaty, or that Randall didn't want his children arrested and he agreed to drop charges. There's never been anything like that produced. That's spoken into history. And then to show something like this that you can't even read. I mean, if you can read that, please tell me what it says, because I can't read it. It's all blurred. I barely made out the headlines. But he wanted you to make out the headlines. They wanted you to see the headlines where it says the end of the Hatfield-McCoy feud. Peace declared by Devil Anse, the fearless leader of the Hatfields. You know, there's another story in there where Devil Anse told the newspaper the true story by Devil Anse Hatfield. Okay. Well, guys, I'm not going to harp on this. I just wanted to give another follow-up to the video on the York House because, like I said, it's so funny how something that can sound so not interesting turned out to be pretty interesting, and how fabricated people can make things to be in order to put something in history. It's like the Jim Vance cemetery, how they didn't even know where Jim Vance was buried, but when they started with the feud stuff, they all of a sudden find out, well, he was buried right here. Here's a stone that they put there with a date on it. Next thing you know, just here in the last little while, we done a video on it, but next thing you know, he's got a Civil War monument there now, Civil War stone. And it says on Wikitree, which anybody can type on Wikitree, that he was a sergeant in the Civil War, he did this, he did that. It's written in the history. It never happened. But 100 years from now, they won't see this. They'll just see Jim Vance's monument there, Civil War, made like a Civil War tombstone. And they'll say, wow, Jim Vance done this and that. Same way they'll do this with the York House. And they'll say, yeah, right there in that parlor is where they made peace. I'm sorry to say, but Randall McCoy never made peace with Devil Anse Hatfield over killing 5 of his children and other children dying and his wife beaten. He never made peace with them over that. People can blame Randall McCoy if you want. Like Sheila said in another video, they said he was a troublemaker. They said he was this. They said
bitter.
He's a bitter. He was a broken old man.
Broken, yeah.
He lost a bunch of family members to these people, and he never forgave them. I'm sorry to say, but at least he never forgave them publicly. He never forgave them in a peace treaty form. He never dropped charges. He wanted charges till the day he died. Remember, go look at that. One of my favorite stories that Sheila and I's done out of 250, 300 videos, one of my favorite, probably the favorite, is the one on Jim McCoy, where the reporter from Atlanta went and seen Devil Anse, and Devil Anse asked him to go see Randall and get him dropped charges. That's parties talking to parties. That's right there of the day. That's not one of these authors of now writing this into history. That is this newspaper editor that went and talked to Randall McCoy.
It's over there.
He went and talked to Jim McCoy, and Jim McCoy says
he owes it to the dead.
As long as there's a breath in him, he'll never forgive them until justice.
That's right. He said that he will never be satisfied until anyone involving in the killing of the McCoys are brought to justice, any of the Hatfields.
So it's an interesting story, and that's why I know that Randall McCoy never did that, because there's never been no family members. It's spoken in the history by these people here. I seen where one gentleman's got a book for sale for $200, something like that he wrote. And he's called a historian, but he's part of these. I don't know. I don't understand it. But a lot of things in life I don't understand, and it's okay. Like we said in the last video, eventually we are going to quit these. We are going to actually retire. We are going to actually try to travel a little bit and do some fun things, and quit getting so wrapped up in this. It's just it's so sad that what people's done to our family history, and but it's part of life. Hey guys, I'm going to add one last thing, and then we're going to be done with this York House story. As I was researching some more earlier, here's the historical resource inventory. Evidently this is some kind of paper that they submit when they put something into the historical records. Of course, here's the house itself, the York House. You can just Google the York House in Pikeville, Kentucky, and the house will come up and all the history to it. Only thing I want to show you on here is it says here that the owner is Joanne Johnson, Main Street, York House, and it tells it's a 2-story frame house. And down here at the bottom, it's prepared by Helen Powell, Carmen and Powell Incorporation, and date March 1983. Here's you another one. March, or at least 1983. I don't know if March is on that one or not. This one here down at the bottom.
Let me see it. Oh, right here.
That's when it was prepared, 1983. Guys, it says here that this house was standing in 1864 when Colonel and Miss John Deals deeded this house to their daughter, Miss J.M. Augusta York. The Yorks lived here for many years, including the years they built, after they built Creekmore. Guys, all through here, and I've looked at it and looked at it and looked at it. That's what it says about this house. 1864 when Colonel John Deals owned it. Goes on to say that the York was a prominent man in the community. He served as judge from 1900 to 1904. I don't know that to be the truth. I haven't researched that yet. When you're researching something, you got to research every little thing, because people throws one or two lines in there to throw you off, and then they'll tell the truth and so forth like that. But Colonel John Deals was the commander of the 39th. We know that was true. My point is here, 1983. 1983, guys. That was way before 2012, way before Hatfield McCoy miniseries come out, way before Pike County Tourism decided to promote the Hatfield McCoy feud and bring in tourism, way before. 1983. Guys, biggest news of that house, biggest news on the internet of the York house is that in the parlor is where Randall McCoy and the York attorney solved the Hatfield McCoy feud. But in 1983, no mention of it. Absolutely no mention of it. The biggest thing that ever happened in history in the Hatfield McCoy feud is when Randall McCoy and Deborah Lance Hatfield declared peace. Decided to let bygones be bygones. It didn't happen, but that's what they're telling you in the modern day world. Since 2017, since they started working on this house and wanted to get money and funds, so in order to get funds, they had to connect it with the Hatfields and McCoy feud. But yet, 1983, the biggest news that could ever come from it, the biggest news was that John Deals owned it at one time, and an attorney, York, lived there. I don't know how much plainer we can put it. I mean, I can tell you all day long, but you guys are so smart. The ones that do watch our channel, because we get texts, we get emails, so we know. I don't have to harp on it. I guess I try to harp on it on some of the ones that's maybe non-believers, and I'm trying to convince them so hard, but it's on the net. I'm not telling you nothing that you can't go find for yourself. 1983, there was nothing ever mentioned when that house was been looked at for the historical stuff of it. Not a word was mentioned about the Hatfield McCoy feud until later on, after the mini-series, and people realized there could be money if we can put a historical marker out in front of it and bring them in here and show them the parlor. Let's show them the parlor. Let's show them two chairs sitting here where they can come in here and say this is where they... Randall McCoy must have stayed, according to the articles that I read. He must have stayed next door at the York house in the parlor talking about this. We know it didn't happen. You know, there's all kinds of investigations that could be done on this. You can go talk to the person that's started the story. Let's see where the story came from. Let's see how old that person is. Let's see where they heard it from. Let's see how they can prove it. Especially if they're family members and they've got court records. You know, they kept records of everything in the world back then. But we can't find a record of the most famous thing that's ever happened, the newspaper articles, nothing. Other than what Cap Hatfield wrote, peace, where Deborah Lance or Cap has declared peace, not Randall McCoy, but the Hatfields. It's amazing. 1983, the house was no more than a 100-year-old house, and had John Deal history to it and York history, and that's it. Never mentioned of a Hatfield McCoy history to it until the mini-series came out, until Pike County started promoting tourism, until money was available to fix things up and say, hey, this is part of history. We got to take care of it. Thanks. And Sheila, you got something to say?
Hi guys, hope you're having a great night. Please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll catch you on the next one.